So welcome to UGBS 614 Marketing Management. Like I said, my name is Dr. Boateng, and I'll be taking you for this course. Now, in today's session, being our first lecture, we will be looking at the general topic of understanding marketing and marketing management. Now, this is meant to give us a foundation or a basis upon which we will be building in our subsequent sessions to help us appreciate the basic concepts that underlie the area of marketing, as well as marketing management, to help us better appreciate what we will be learning in the upcoming sessions. Now, like this lecture and every other lecture we will be having after this, there are certain learning outcomes we hope to achieve by the end of each of these lectures. And for this particular session, we have 4 main learning outcomes that we hope to achieve. And that means that by the end of this session, there are 4 main things you should be able to do. 1, to be able to understand the value and scope of marketing and its core concepts. 2, you should also be able to define and explain the process of marketing management. And then 3, you should be able to understand company marketplace orientations. And then finally, you should be able to understand the new marketing realities and the process of identifying and delivering value to customers, who are the prime focus of marketers when it comes to marketing. So these are the 4 main learning outcomes that we hope to achieve once the session is through. And like I said, at any point in time, if you have any comments to make or you have a question to ask, feel free to raise your hand. I'll give you the opportunity to do so, and then you can go ahead. So with that being said, let's get into it. By first looking at the value and scope of marketing. So of what use is marketing? Someone might ask, and why must we be cognizant of it? Now, the reason why marketing is of importance and the reason why we are focusing on it is because financial success in most organizations often depends on the organization's marketing ability. Because you would agree with me that every organization exists to serve a particular need. And to be able to effectively do so, the firm has to employ a unique marketing strategy that can be able to appeal to their audience or target customer in order to be able to get them to buy into whatever it is that they are trying to sell to them. So that being said, it means that successful marketing builds upon demand for products and services, given that if there is no demand for the firm's products and services, there is no way that they can be able to sell. And the only way that they can build the demand for the products and services that they offer is by engaging in, like I said, some form of unique marketing activity that will help them identify and attract these customers who will provide the demand for these products and services that they are offering for sale. And these will in turn create jobs, given that if there is no demand for the firm's products and services, then there is no need for the firm to be in existence, let alone have employees who are working within the firm. Please, does that make sense?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. So that being said, we are saying that marketing builds strong brands in the sense that if the firm is able to identify the need for marketing in their organization and its important role in terms of creating demand for their products and services, then by utilizing it, they can be able to build a strong brand for themselves that can help them to go about creating a loyal customer base, as well as obtaining several other intangible assets, like goodwill, that can contribute heavily to their value as a firm. So if you're doing marketing as an organization, generally your main aim or what you intend to primarily get out of all the marketing activities you're engaging in is to be able to build yourself a strong brand along with a loyal customer base that will guarantee demand for your products and services, as well as be able to utilize this marketing activity to obtain intangible assets that will contribute ultimately towards helping you obtain and sustain a competitive advantage in the field that you are working in. So that generally is the value of marketing to an organization and why we have to care about it. So that being said, we need to ask ourselves the almighty question: what is marketing? Now, on a basic level, marketing is basically about identifying some kind of need that an individual has, right? So here we are saying it's about identifying and meeting human and social needs. Now, for firms to be able to identify this and see it as something that is of opportunity, is for them to be able to find some kind of profitable way. It's for them to find some kind of profitable way to be able to satisfy these human needs. And because of that, the American Marketing Association, which is one of the highest marketing bodies that we have around, defined marketing as the activity, set of institutions, and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. Now, you will notice that a number of words are used here, all of which are prime to the process of marketing. Now, these include the processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings. These 4 words I just used refer to the primary marketing tools that are at the disposal of marketers for manipulation in order to ensure that they create this demand for their products and services that I talked about initially. So when we talk about creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging, we are basically talking about the 4 P's, which are product, price, place, and promotion, which we will get into more detail very soon. And then it's also about creating value, meaning that marketing will only end up being worthwhile if there is some kind of value or benefit to be obtained from it by the stakeholders of the process, prime of which include the customers or the clients, as well as other partners who are engaged in the marketing process, and then society at large, who form part of the context within which the marketing activity is taking place. So generally, this definition of marketing is talking about the fact that marketing entails these separate processes we have talked about that are all combined to be able to create value, not just for the customer who is the end consumer, but also for other stakeholders that are involved in the process of conducting this marketing activity that we are referring to. So now that we know what marketing is, let's look at the simple marketing system. Given that we have talked about the fact that marketing involves creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers and other stakeholders, then the basic marketing system should involve at least the organization or the firm that is responsible for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging this value. So you see that in the simple marketing system, we have the industry on one hand, also known as a collection of sellers that refer to all the firms that offer these products and services we are talking about. Hence, the arrow moving from industry to market, which has goods/services written on it. Please, is that okay? Can you see that?
Yes, please.
Good. Yes. Now, you remember in the definition of marketing, we also talked about the fact that it's not just about creating these goods, it's also about communicating and exchanging. So you realize that for that exchange to take place and for that communication to take place, there's an arrow moving from industry to market, which has communication written on it. And market here refers to the collection of buyers who are the target audience for the collection of sellers when they are engaging in this creation and communicating and exchanging and delivering of offerings. So you can see that industry provides these goods and services to the market, and they communicate with the market regarding how to go about exchanging these goods and services. Now, we talked about the fact that the process involves value creation, not just for the end consumer, but also for the seller. So you realize that apart from the arrows moving from industry to market, there are some arrows that are also moving from the market back to the industry. And the primary one we can see in the middle there is the one labeled what?
Money.
Money. Because that is the ultimate aim of all this that we are doing in the name of marketing. It's about the bottom line, which is money. So definitely in exchange for the goods and services and the communication, the industry sellers are expecting to get some kind of money in return for their efforts. But it's also not just about money. They also require information in the form of feedback, which is going to help them to improve upon the goods and services that they currently offer. Because through this information, they are able to learn more about the market, which is a collection of buyers. And then it helps them to be able to fine-tune the offering that they put together to give to this market to make sure that it comes close, if not exactly, to be what the market is looking for and will be willing to exchange money for. So generally, that is what happens in the simple marketing system. Stephen in team has a question. He says he has often heard arguments between sales and marketing teams about who is more important to the organization in terms, although it seems to be more settled in recent times, i.e. that marketing does the groundwork for sales to plant the seed. What is my take? I think generally, you're right. Sales is a subset of marketing. So it is part of the processes that take place in the marketing system. So you realize that if we were going through the more complicated and detailed marketing system, which has more levels and arrows moving back and forth and more actors and stakeholders involved, you will see that sales is just one arrow which has to do with the distribution aspect. That involves getting the finished product from the seller to the buyer. However, marketing involves more than just the distribution. Before the distribution can take place, so much happens, as we have seen in the marketing definition provided by the American Marketing Association, in the form of creating and communicating. So sales basically helps with the delivering and exchanging. But in addition, do you see this arrow called information from market to industry? Do you see that?
Yes, please.
Sales also play a very important role in that. Because given that they are primarily involved in the delivery and exchange process, they have direct contact with the buyer. You agree? You agree?
Yes, madam.
Good.
Yes, please.
So in that direct contact with the buyer during the delivery and exchange process, they get to gather a lot of information about the buyers and the products that they are giving to them and what the buyers expect. So you realize that sales will usually come from the field or from making their distributions and deliveries, and they will come back with so much feedback to the remainder of the marketing team in the office regarding what the customers said and how they felt about the product and what they wish could be done to improve their consumption experience, right? So sales is a subset of marketing, and without sales, marketing will not be complete. And without marketing, the job of sales will be very, very, very difficult. So Stephen, that's my take on the matter. So both of them matter, right? They all have a role that they play.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Stephen. Okay, so now that we've understood the simple marketing system and what marketing is all about, let's ask ourselves, what then can be marketed? And here we can see there are a number of things that can be marketed, starting from goods, which we are very familiar with. We buy all manner of goods every day. Again, services, we consume all manner of services every day, educational services, banking services, hairstyling services, pedicure and manicure services, insurance services. We consume all these manner of services. Events can also be marketed, and in Ghana here, there are so many events that are marketed to us every year, some of which have become a staple that people have come to look forward to on an annual basis. Examples of any events that you know of. Examples of such events. Good, Richard. VGMA, very popular one at that. Any others? Yes, Myra.
December to remember.
Myra.
December to remember.
December to remember, another staple that has come to stay, right? So these are all examples of events. Emmanuel Bonnie, please go ahead. Emmanuel, you have the floor. Nanama Boateng says Afro Nation, another one, right? So these are all different kinds of events that are marketed to consumers in the country every year, some of which have come to be expected on an annual basis that consumers look forward to. We can also talk about experiences. Now, experiences are usually a combination of a product, a service, some type of good, all put together into one offer that is sold to a customer. Rashid, the CEO conference, exactly. That's another event that has also become something that we look forward to annually. So thank you for sharing that. So like I was saying, when we talk about experiences, they are like a package, meaning they're a combination of not just one type of item. They are a combination of goods, of services, of events, and different kinds of offerings, all wrapped up into one to create some kind of feeling or emotion, or to provide some kind of benefit or solution for customers. Now, a typical type of experience we can talk about is the My Disney experience, which combines a lot of different things together into one package and sells to customers. So for instance, if you buy a My Disney experience ticket and you want to go to, say, the Disneyland in Orlando, Florida, you can buy a whole experience that includes the package of not just accommodation, but also feeding, and also access to the various rides and attractions at the Disneyland, where you can participate, not just you as an individual, but you can also book for your family, and you can book for an extended period of time as some kind of holiday, right? So that's what the My Disney experience is all about. And you get a lot of items put together into one package. So while you are staying there at Disneyland, there are various events that they have that are built around the different fairy tale movies and stories that Disney has produced. So there are different events that have to do with, say, princesses or Mickey and Minnie Mouse or other animations that Disney has produced. So all of these things come together to form the My Disney experience, which is a typical example of an experience that can be packaged and sold to customers. Any other examples of experiences? There's another very popular one, but I don't want to mention it. I want you to mention it yourselves, that Ghanaians have come to love and look forward to every year. Yes, Emmanuel.
Easter at Kwewu.
Easter at Kwewu, that's another fantastic one, with the paragliding and there are also events that are held around that period in Kwewu, as well as the food and experiencing the culture, right? So Easter at Kwewu, a very good one. Thank you, Emmanuel, right? And then there's a final one. Chalewate is also another fantastic experience. Well done, Victor. That's another good one. Matilda.
Afrochella.
Afrochella is also another one, right? So these are all packages of experiences. So when you go there, you're not just going there for one reason. You are going there to be able to have a complete experience and be able to see and enjoy different events, services, goods, persons, all of these put together, right? Another very popular one we can talk about, which people claim the slave queens have taken over, is the Dubai experience. Okay, Abel says the Nestle Milo Marathon. That would be an event. So the Milo Marathon is an event. Old School Reunion is also an event, Rashid. So very good examples, right? So like I said, the Dubai experience is also another one. So you buy a whole package from a particular tour company, and you are buying an experience where you travel to Dubai, you get hotel stay, you get a package where they get to transport you to different malls and different attractions in Dubai for you to be able to have a whole vacation experience with different activities that you can you can engage in, right? So that is it for events and experiences. We can also talk about persons. Persons can be marketed. People always argue about why some people end up becoming celebrities. And I always tell them that a celebrity is not something that is outrageous or something that is so sacred. Celebrities are created. And who do you think is responsible for creating these celebrities? Or what do you think is responsible for creating celebrities? Anyone want to try? Isaac.
Brand marketers.
Brand marketers, right? Because celebrities are persons.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Isaac, and thank you, Beatrice, for seconding that. Marketers create celebrities. It's about crafting an image for a particular person and selling this image in the most convincing way that whatever target audience you are targeting buys into the idea of this person being what you are telling them that they are, right? So persons can also be marketed, right? And we can also talk about marketing places. We just talked about the Dubai experience. And Dubai has become so popular that people actually equate the United Arab Emirates or the UAE to Dubai, thinking that they are the same. But Dubai is just one, should I say, city in the UAE. There's Abu Dhabi. Has anyone heard of Abu Dhabi before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another city in the same place. But because of expert marketing, Dubai has come to take over that whole place, right? So it's a typical example of how well places can be marketed. Again, properties can also be marketed. We see a lot of these real estate companies developing cities, developing townhomes, and marketing them for sale to individuals and organizations, right? Also, organizations can be marketed. And for this one, we see it all around us. Every organization has a unique image represented by their name and their brand logo and their brand colors and the services that they offer. However, these lives too sometimes get people a bit confused, and they include information and ideas. Information can be marketed in the sense that people actually sell their ability to obtain certain kinds of information. And this is very popular when we go to the corporate world, where companies need information on a regular basis for decision making. So organizations specialize in this and market themselves as being able to provide this information that the companies require in a timely manner. And a typical example is AC Nielsen, which had offices in Ghana, I think at the Gulf House. Has anyone heard of Nielsen?
Yeah, but they folded up.
Yeah, they folded up and left. They were previously at the Gulf House, right? And there are several other organizations all over the world that specialize in this. Currently, there's another organization called Euromonitor, where I get most of my marketing research data from. And they have reports on different nations all over the world, including Africa and Ghana, right? However, this information is for sale. Rashid, you said Sagasti. Okay, I've also heard about that one. Do they have offices in Ghana, Rashid? Rashid, kindly indicate if they have an office in Ghana. They do, okay. Please add the location. I may want to pay them a visit. All right, so that is the concept of information, and it can be marketed such that people will market their ability to be able to provide timely and advantageous information, particularly for corporate institutions, like I said, who require this information for decision making. We can also sell ideas to people, right? And we have a lot of these around us. For instance, Kanta, good. Priscilla. Kanta brands, very good. And Maverick as well. In fact, I recently received the Kanta brands report on the strongest global brands. And And I thought it was a phenomenal report for the year 2021. Right? So they also market information. And one way of marketing this information, like I said, is by putting out annual reports to sell themselves as being some of the foremost authorities who have access to this information. So that in case an organization is looking for information within that ballpark, they know who to go to. So Priscilla, very good. Cantor, Brands, and Maverick. Yeah. So like I was saying, ideas can also be sold or marketed to consumers. And there are several ideas that have been sold to us all over the place, including drinking and driving. So when I talk about drinking and driving, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Accidents.
Accidents. Because they've sold it to us that whenever you drink and drive, it will most likely result in an accident. That's an idea. Again, the cosmetics industry also sells an idea. What idea is that? What idea do the beauty people sell to us?
Beauty.
Yeah. They sell to us beauty all the time. And for those who want to become more beautiful than they are, they sell the idea of hope. A hope that you can become even more beautiful if you buy even more cosmetics. That's not what they always tell us.
Yes.
Yeah. Right? But it's just an idea. Because as the famous saying goes, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. Right? So that's another example of an idea that we get sold on a daily basis. See, and we buy it hook, line, and sinker. With all this marketing knowledge we have, we still fall for it. Right? So that is another example of an idea. Okay, so Williams also has a question. He says, is property not considered as good when they are marketed? No. It's about how they are marketed. So marketing property is not a bad thing. It's about how you market the property. So some people will market property and you realize that a lot of the information that is given out in the marketing is circumspect, or they withhold a lot of information. That leads consumers to become suspicious. However, if you are marketing property and you are laying it all out there, you're talking about how the lands were acquired, the fact that they are titled lands, and the fact that you are willing to give prospective buyers the opportunity to have these lands checked out, to be able to see if they are genuine, or to have the properties documents checked out at the Lands Commission to see that yes, the land is genuine, the property was well built, and then they are willing to show you invoices of the materials that they purchased, who they purchased from, who their contractor is. All of this information is usually welcomed by a prospective buyer who wants to get a sense of what they are getting into by buying that property. So property is not considered, what was the question again? Is property not considered as good? No, we can't say that. It depends on how the marketing is done. Because in any case, if you do not market the property, how will you be able to sell it? Right, Williams? So that's some food for thought. Right? So generally, all of these things can be marketed, and any single thing around you right now that you can see some kind of brand communication or marketing communication for can be fit into this category. So it could either be a good, a service, an event, an experience, a person, a place, a property, an organization, information, or an idea. It will most likely fit into one of these categories. So that being said, what is marketing management? Now that we know what marketing is and what can be marketed. When it comes to marketing management, it's simply about the arts and science. Now, art and science, because it is not a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to marketing management. It is about the art of being able to design an approach to your marketing activities that suits the needs of your organization and a science because there's a lot of computation and thought process that goes into the choice of a particular strategy or design. It is not just about getting up and making hasty decisions. Hence, we are saying marketing management is not just an art, but also a science of choosing target markets. Now, why are we choosing target markets? We are choosing target markets because everyone in the world is a potential customer for any organization. Do you agree?
Yes.
Good. However, every organization does not have all the resources to effectively serve all these customers that can be their potential clients. So the firm has to come up with some smart way, hence we are saying an art and a science, to be able to choose target markets that they can effectively target with their product or service in a profitable manner. That is why we are saying marketing management is about the art and science of choosing target markets. Now, once you choose a target market, you are not done, because the same target market that you are eyeing, another potential seller is also eyeing. So when you choose the target market, you need to go a step further to actually take the necessary steps to get them, keep them, because it's not enough to just get them. If you get them and another seller offers them something better, you can easily lose them. So you need to put in effort not to just get these target markets, but also to keep them and grow the customers in them. Because you do not want to be serving the same group of customers all the time. At some point, you will need to get more customers to be able to increase your sales and increase your profitability. So it's about the art and science of choosing target markets, getting them, keeping them, and growing the customers in them through creating, delivering, and communicating superior customer value. So again, you see the creating, delivering, and communicating has come in again, like we saw in the definition of marketing, which we identified, encapsulated what we refer to as the 4 Ps, which are the primary marketing tools that marketers manipulate in order to achieve firm objectives with a particular target market. So all these things that we are doing is ultimately intended to provide superior customer value, because it is only in providing superior customer value that we can be able to ensure that we will get the monetary returns that we are looking for. Because the customer will only exchange money for something that they perceive is of value to them. So with that understanding of what marketing management is, what are some of the tasks involved in marketing management? There are several of them, a few of which include developing market strategies and plans. Because like I said, the art and science aspect of marketing management is all about developing these strategies and plans. You can't just get up and make these decisions. You have to think through them. And the science part involves making decisions that are backed by relevant information. Please, I hope that makes sense.
Yes, please.
Okay. So the first task in marketing management involves developing market strategies and plans. The next thing we can talk about is our capturing market insights, because like I said, the science part involves making factually backed decisions. So you can't make decisions in a void. And the only way you can be able to obtain this information is through capturing market insights, which involves conducting market research and obtaining both primary and secondary data that can give you important facts and information to help you guarantee that the strategies and plans that you are putting together are targeted and they are going to work when it comes to creating, delivering, and communicating the superior customer value that you are intending to. Marketing management also involves connecting with the customers. It's not just about developing plans and gathering information about them. It's also about getting to know the customers in depth. So engaging with customers these days, which has become very easy as a result of information communication technology, plays a key role in the ability of a firm to successfully execute its marketing management activities. Because by getting to know the customer and connecting with them, you will get to know what their needs are You get to know what their preferences are and what constitutes value to them. And that way you can be able to ensure that whatever strategies and plans you are putting together will end up being successful in terms of achieving your marketing objectives. Again, marketing management helps to build strong brands, because through marketing management, you are able to understand your customers and you are able to serve them better. And the more you are able to provide value to your customers, the better the image of your brand and perception of your brand in the minds of your customers becomes. So over time, your brand will become stronger as a result of consistently providing good value to your customers. Again, through marketing management, firms are able to create value, deliver value, and communicate value. Because like I said, the strategies and plans are designed to be able to ensure that the firm puts together a market offering that will be able to communicate value to the customer. Now, putting together this market offering is what happens at the creating value stage, where the firm tries to come up with a product or service that is solving some kind of problem that the customer has. We will get into the issue of needs and wants very soon, which will make this clearer. Now, after they are able to create this good and services that is purported to satisfy this need that the customer has, you have to find a way of delivering it to the customer. And again, in delivering it, the firm has to be able to make sure they are communicating value in the delivery process, which a lot of firms have currently built their business models around. So you realize that firms specialize in particular products and services and delivering them using a particular means or channel. All of that can be talked about when it comes to delivering value. And then communicating value is also part of the marketing management tasks, in that you have to be able to communicate this value you have created in the form of a product or service offering to the customer before they can be able to decide whether or not it is best suited to solve whatever problem it is that they have identified. So it's not enough to just create a good or service that offers value. Marketing management also helps the firm to deliver this value to the customer and then also communicate this value, which is going to help the customer identify their need for this particular good or service. So that is it for some of the marketing management tasks that are performed when it comes to the issue of marketing and generating demand for a firm's products and services. So at this point, I'd like to ask, is there anything that anyone needs clarification on, or anyone who has a question or comment before we proceed? So is it okay to presume that everyone is okay?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah,
All
okay.
right. Good. So with that understanding, let's proceed. Let's talk about some core marketing concepts. Now, these are core concepts that are recurring in the area of marketing because they serve as a foundation or a basis for a lot of the concepts that we are going to discuss in the upcoming sessions. So we need a general understanding of these marketing concepts so that when we are discussing these other topics and aspects of marketing in the subsequent sessions, we can be able to draw on our understanding of these core concepts to clarify the discussions we will be having at those times. So with the core marketing concepts, we will look at a number of them, starting from needs, wants, and demands. Now, remember I mentioned demand some time ago when we started the session, saying that marketing helps firms to create demand for their products and services. Do we remember that?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Now, before they get to the point of creating this demand, the customer has to have some kind of need or want for the product in order for this demand creation process to be successful. So first off, what are needs? Needs are the basic human requirements that we all have, such as for air, food, water, clothing, shelter, among other things. Now, these serve as the motivating factor for why a consumer will go in search of a particular product or service, because they have some kind of basic need or human requirements that they need to satisfy. Now, these needs get translated into wants, right? Which are specific objects that they believe might satisfy that need that they have. That is why if a consumer has a need for water, their wants are myriad or diversified, because there are so many objects that might satisfy that need for water. Do you agree?
Yes.
Good. So if I say you have a need for water right now, the wants could include anything from Verna water to Voltic to Belacqua to Awake, you name it. There's so many specific objects that can satisfy this need for thirst, including even the Ghana water supply from the home tap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good, right? And that is why we have myriad organizations, because all organizations are free to satisfy any of these needs and wants that customers will have. That is why we have multiple organizations operating in the same context and in the same industry and in the same sector, and they are all thriving. Because customer needs will always be myriad and diversified. Likewise, the wants being the specific objects that they believe might satisfy these needs that they have, right? So ultimately, these needs and wants translate into demands, because like we said, wants refer to the fact that there are various specific objects that might satisfy the need that the customer has. However, the fact that they want it doesn't mean they can afford to get it. True or false?
True.
Good. So this want, backed by the ability to be able to pay for it, is what we refer to as demand. So a marketer will never go after a customer who doesn't have purchasing power. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. So demands are very important, because needs and wants are only of interest to the marketer when there is an ability to pay, or there is some kind of purchasing power, right? So that is it for needs, wants, and demands, and they are the basis for why marketers have a job. So what are some of the states of demand? There are 8 states of demand that we can talk about, and we will go into them one after the other, starting from negative demand. Now, negative demand is where consumers actually dislike a product and they may even pay to avoid it, right? So a typical example we can talk about is, for instance, dentistry services. Specifically, we can talk about tooth extractions. It's a demand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, people pay to have their teeth extracted, but ideally they would pay to avoid having their teeth extracted. You agree?
How is that possible?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
can someone tell him how you will pay to avoid having to get your teeth extracted? Anyone? I want to see how in-depth you can analyze.
Maybe I may pay for the most expensive paste there is.
Good. You are paying for the most expensive toothpaste. That's one, Edwin. Good. There was another hand up. Oh, Edwin said it.
And occasionally doing checkups on your teeth.
Yeah, you'll occasionally do checkups to avoid having to pay for teeth extractions. I know people who have multiple kinds of mouthwash. And they have different toothbrushes, the ones they use after food and the one they use when they have not eaten. So please, the one who said, how is that possible? Do you understand now?
Yes, I understand now.
Good. Right? So that is what we refer to as negative demand. The same way someone will pay to avoid going through heart surgery. They will pay for a personal trainer to help reduce their cholesterol. All of these are examples of negative demand, right?
Yeah.
Good. We can also talk about non-existent demand. And this is where consumers may be unaware of or uninterested in the product. Any examples of products that consumers are simply uninterested in? Now, before you answer, this may vary from consumer to consumer. So any example of non-existent demand? TV license. Richard, that's a good one. A lot of us are not interested in TV license. I totally agree with you, Richard. We couldn't care less. And some people are also simply unaware that there is something like TV license in Ghana. Please, if you are hearing about TV license in Ghana for the first time, please show by hand. Is there anyone here hearing about TV license for the first time? Okay, perhaps because of the age group that we have here. But I'm sure if you ask younger consumers, they would tell you that they are not aware that TV license is charged in Ghana. Ahmed Alban, please go ahead. You are not aware of TV license?
Today is my first time.
Wow. TBC has been going door to door collecting TV license. with some pink card, a foldable pink card. When they collect it, then they take. TV license is in Ghana. Yes. At some point, they've been trying to get us to pay for it electronically. But all that didn't work, right? So very good example, Richard. That's a typical example of non-existent demand.
Madam, poll tax.
Yeah, phone tax. Are they charging it?
No more. They don't take anymore.
They don't take anymore. Exactly. Right. That's another example. Tax refund. Tax refund is another. A lot of people do not know that tax refunds exist in Ghana. Please show by hand if you are not aware that tax refund exists in Ghana. Not those who are aware, those who are not aware that you can get a tax refund in Ghana. Exactly. Right? But it exists in Ghana. The same way the Americans and other developed countries, citizens are excited when it comes to the period of getting tax refunds. We can also in Ghana here, people are unaware. Wow. And the number keeps increasing. Interesting. Right? So these are all typical examples of non-existent demand. Right? So thank you everyone for sharing your examples with us. Another state of demand we can talk about is latent demand. And latent demand usually happens where consumers share a strong need for a particular product, but it cannot be satisfied by an existing product. So you share a strong need as a group of consumers, but there's no product that is existing that can satisfy that need that you have. Can anyone proffer any examples of such demand? Is there any product, is there any need you have that existing products cannot satisfy? Richard, you said MTN data service. That's a debatable one.
Agent, Anna.
Tina, we can hear you. Okay. Richard, the MTN data service one is debatable. In the sense that depending on who you ask, the data service is doing the barest minimum in terms of satisfying the need to be able to be connected. Right? But here is where we are talking about a strong need that cannot be satisfied by an existing product. So it means it's a need we have, but there's no product that exists that yet exists that can satisfy it. Immortality. Very good one, Louis. Immortality. People wish they could live longer, right? But there is no proven product that can guarantee you immortality. Very good one, Louis. So that's a good example. Ivan, are you saying government? Oh, but we have government. We have government. Maybe if you added
both NDC and MPP have they failed us so far. So we don't have any...
but still, they are governments. Maybe if you add a qualifier, like maybe an incorruptible government.
Okay.
Aha. Right. then we can say that, okay, yes, we are yet to see a government that is incorruptible anywhere in the world. Every government all over the world has some kind of issue with corruption. Right, Tina, yes, so thank you, Richard. Tina, you said what? Old age. Yeah, people don't want to grow old. And there's no product that can guarantee that you stay young forever. So I think that connects to the immortality thing. So Isaac, good governments. Yeah, there are good governments around the world. Achua ECG. Hey, why ECG? ECG is providing us with power. Achua. William says aging. Yes, that's a good example. Aging is something that we are yet to find a product to fix. Right. So thank you everyone for sharing. For the ECG one there, Ajwa, we'll have to come back on that one. Right. So that's for latent demand. Right. Another kind of demand we can talk about is declining demand. Richard, you said passing and not writing exams. That is virtually non-existent. It's impossible. A good one, Richard. Okay, so declining demand, where we are talking about the fact that consumers begin to buy the product less frequently. So the purchase of the product keeps declining and declining and declining, and then all of a sudden, no one is buying it at all anymore. Any examples of such products that are experiencing declining demand in Ghana here? Yes, Emmanuel.
Nokia phones.
Nokia phones. You hear people talking about them less and less and less, isn't it? And these days, you will rarely see people holding a Nokia. So very good example. Motorola. Motorola, again, yeah. Right, in Ghana here, it's you see very few people with a Motorola. Everyone is either holding a Samsung or a Techno or an Infinix or an iPhone. These are the main ones you usually see. Charles, please go ahead. Charles, you have the floor. Your hand is up. Charles, you are speaking, but I cannot hear you. Your mic is beeping, but the volume, like the sound is not coming, so we can't hear you.
GTV. People are
GTV. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Thank you, Charles. It's very sad. Right? But they are still the station of the nation. Good example, Charles. Thank you for sharing. Ivan says recharge cards. Yeah. Few people buy scratch cards these days. Everyone just tops up electronically, isn't it? Are there people here who still buy scratch cards? Please, if you are here, you still buy scratch cards, show by hand.
No.
You don't buy anymore.
No. Last time.
Yeah, everyone just tops up electronically. So very good example, Ivan. Very good one. Victor, oh sorry, I forgot to mention Huawei. Please forgive me. Huawei is another popular one. Sorry, Victor. So it's another popular phone brand. Okay, Nana Boateng says hard copy newspapers. Yes, they are also declining, except when you go to the government institutions. So good one, Nanama. Ghana Post. They are also slowly declining, right? So Williams, that's another good example. Tina, on-site exam. Are you sure? It's not declining, oh. It declined during COVID. Now it's the reverse. It's coming back. Tina, on-site exams are coming back. Oh.
It's losing its popularity.
Hey, it is now becoming popular again. It lost it last year during COVID. Now it's coming back. So last year they wrote exams. They wrote sitting exams.
COVID is still around.
Don't worry, I'll tell the dean and my HOD that's what you said, so they should think about it. All right, so that is declining demand, right? Okay. Now, like I said, there are 8 of them. We've done the first 4. Now, on to the remaining 4, we have irregular demand. And these are consumer purchases for certain products and services that vary on a seasonal, monthly, weekly, daily, or even hourly basis, right? So that's what makes the demand irregular. The demand is high at certain points and low at certain points. And for this one, we can give several examples, right? So let's give a few examples and then we proceed. Examples of irregular demand.
Umbrellas.
Umbrellas. During the rainy season, umbrellas are all the rage. After the rainy season, they disappear, right? So that's a typical example. And that is seconded by Dinah Manful. Great. So thank you for that. Victor, you said I'll definitely hold an online exam. Hey, like I prophesy into our future. You have to add prayers. Okay, Ethel says nose masks for irregular demand. Okay, we can say that because nose masks are only relevant now that there's COVID. And I'm sure once COVID goes away, people will quickly abandon the whole nose mask idea. Currently, people are still even struggling to get individuals to put on nose masks. So good one there, Ethel. Richard, you said buying of fertilizers during farming season. Diapers when you have a kid. Good. These are all examples, Richard. So very good ones. Thank you for sharing. Another says porridge and other breakfast foods. Yeah, they're only demanded at a certain time of the day, in the morning. So Cocoa King will only set up in the morning during rush hour. During the lunch drive and the evening drive, you will not see them. So very good one, Nana Boateng. And then Abigail says kente for engagement. Yep. And special occasions. Even these days, the engagements have taken over the graduations and stuff. So very good example there, Abigail. Ivan, airline tickets. Again, good. People only require airline ticket when they are traveling. So these are all excellent examples, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sharing. So that is for irregular demand. Next, we can talk about full demand. And this is where consumers are adequately buying all the products that are put into the marketplace. So examples of products that are experiencing full demand.
Provisions.
Provisions. People are always eating. People are always needing all these FMCGs, right? So provisions are a very good example. Thank you, my lady, for sharing. Ethel says water, seconded by Hildegard. And, okay, and Ivan, yes. So water. Tina, foodstuffs, good, right? People are always going to the market to buy food, seconded by Debs. So all excellent examples of full demand, right? Next, we can talk about over full demand. And this is where more consumers would like to buy the product than can be satisfied. So they can't meet the demand. Yes, Williams, electric energy. But are you aware that Ghana exports energy to some of our neighboring countries? And I remember one day someone asked me that question: if we can't meet our own needs, why are we exporting?
Exactly.
Yeah. We are yet to get the answer. Okay, Debs, you said smartphones for over full demand. That's a controversial one. Because there are some people who even can't afford smartphones. So if you put smartphones in the category of over full demand, it's a bit iffy, right? Ivan, you said UG forms for over full demand. Ivan, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure that for UG forms, more consumers would like to buy the product that can be satisfied? Okay, I will agree with that. Yes. If you are talking specifically in terms of admissions into certain programs, I agree. Because we have certain programs that are always oversubscribed and we can only take a number of people. So Ivan and Isaac, good one. Marie France, US visa. Yes, that's another good one. Frank, UEFA Champions League. Really? When does the over full demand come in? Is it in buying the stadium tickets or the number of people who want to qualify to the finals? Or I don't understand. You will have to qualify it for us, Frank. Okay, but apart from that, all very good examples. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing. Now, the eighth one, we can talk about it on wholesome demand. And this is where consumers are attracted to products and services that have undesirable social consequences, right? But yet, they still crave them. Any examples of those?
Excessive beer consumption.
Thank you. Alcohol. Emmanuel, please go ahead.
Shisha.
Yeah, that's another one. Someone says tramol, someone says weed, cigarettes, fat enhancements, coke. All of these are examples of products that have unwholesome demand, right? So these are the 8 major demand states that we have. Ivan, oh yes, that's also unwholesome demand, right? So as an organization, you need to be able to identify the kind of demand that exists for your product or service. And that will guide you on how to market it. So for instance, a typical example is the unwholesome demand that we are talking about right now. Firms and organizations that provide these products and services are mandated to let consumers know the consequences of going ahead to consume these products, despite the fact that they have been tagged as unwholesome. So you see that the cigarette people will go ahead and add the caveat that cigarette smoking can be harmful to your health and can cause cancer. You will also see that those who offer these medical procedures, the enhancements and enlargements, will always tell you the negative consequences should you go through these procedures, right? Likewise, there's a lot of information out there regarding the side effects and the negative outcomes of consuming some of these unwholesome products, right? So it is your responsibility as a firm to know where the demand for your product falls, because that will influence how you design your marketing strategy and your marketing management activities. Isaac, please, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, madam, I was just trying to say something like the cigarette advertisers.
Yeah.
They are trying to put out the side effects or the consequences. It's always very small and at the end and
yeah,
very quick. So you don't hear the information. It's not really reaching out to the.
That's true. And that is because they are mandated to do so, but they have not been mandated in terms of how they should do it. So like I'm saying, they usually put it in the fine print. That is why we have independent organizations who are not commercially linked to the sale of these products and services, doing their best to educate consumers. We also have individuals who have family members and relatives who have experienced the negative consequences of these unwholesome products, also sharing their experiences to ensure that people do not fall victim. Because left to the organizations in question alone, they will not do what they have to ensure that consumers are fully educated about the side effects of these unwholesome products. Because the more consumers are educated, the less they will consume them and the less profits that will go into the pockets of these organizations. So Isaac, you are spot on, right? And thank you for sharing. Evelyn says bleaching products. Again, another example of products that have unwholesome demand. So I'm very happy we have actually conceived the states of demand and what each of them entails and what they mean in terms of marketing. So with that understanding, let's move on to the next set of concepts, being value propositions, offerings, and brands. Now, when we say value proposition, it's kind of like a promise of what a particular product or service is going to offer. So when we talk about the value proposition, it's basically the set of benefits that are intended to satisfy the needs that a customer will have. So usually firms would communicate this value proposition in the form of their mission and vision statements, as well as their slogan, right? So MTN's value proposition, we can say, is what?
Everywhere you go.
Everywhere you go, because they are promising you that if you sign on to MTN, you're going to get cell coverage everywhere you go, right? So that's a typical example of a value proposition. Now, this value proposition has to be put into some kind of tangible form to be able to be sold to the customer. And this is what brings us to the next concept, which is an offering. So the offering is basically the physical representation of this value proposition we are talking about, which is largely intangible. So when MTN tells you that everywhere you go, what is the physical representation of this everywhere you go? So MTN will tell us that they offer 4G, they have fiber, broadband, among other things, right? So all these different things we are talking about are combined in the form of products and services and information and experiences to create what we call an offer, which ends up becoming, like we said, the physical representation of the value proposition, being the set of benefits that the firm is promising to give us to satisfy our need. Now, when it comes to offerings, multiple sellers can provide the same offering. True or false?
True.
Good. So to be able to distinguish the offering of one seller from the other, we need what we refer to as a brand, which brings us to our next marketing concept. Meaning that firms can be able to distinguish their offering from those of their competitors or other sellers in the same category by creating what we refer to as a brand. So in essence, we say a brand is an offering from a known source. So that is it for value propositions, offerings, and brands. Now moving on, the next set of concepts we can talk about is value proposition, but we are doing that into more detail. And why are we doing this? Because we want to be able to see how a value proposition can be actualized by an actual company in practice. Now, we talked about the MTN value proposition, which is everywhere you go, isn't it? Now, let's break down the value proposition for another organization like Uber. Now, the reason why I chose to use this organization as an example is because ride-sharing apps usually have two types of customers. Do you agree?
Yes.
Good. Who are they?
The rider and the driver.
The rider and the driver. So for such organizations, it's not enough to just have one value proposition. You need to have a value proposition for each group of customers that you are dealing with. And that is why I decided to make us use Uber as one of our examples. So let's look at the value proposition for Uber as it relates to riders. Now, they have a lot, but the ones that stood out to me the most over here with regard to Uber for riders is the fact that, one, they provide an on-demand ride service from the app, right? So the riders can be able to request for a ride anywhere at any time. They do not have to schedule or pre-order for a ride, even though they have that flexibility as well. Again, Uber rides are more affordable than our typical taxi rides that we have in the country. True or false?
Madam, I think it's contextual, or it depends on the period.
Okay, but generally, would you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Also, in terms of the choice of the vehicle, if you are going to pick a regular taxi, you do not get to choose the car that you sit in. If you go and stand by the roadside, the one that comes, you stop and you sit in it. Otherwise, you'll be standing there for a very long time trying to choose which taxi to pick. But for Uber, you can decide whether you want, what are they, Uber X or what?
Comfort.
It's either Uber X or what?
Comfort.
Comfort, right? So you can choose a regular Uber, come and go, or you choose the one that provides a bit more of an extra service, including air conditioning. Right? In other parts of the world, they have classified it into economy and premium and all manner of tiers of service. Again, unlike with the regular taxi service that you have to tell the driver where you are going. Okay, so Beatrice, so that says it's Uber Lux. Okay, great. Thank you for the clarification. So again, for riders, there's no need to tell the driver where you are going when you take an Uber. The app will automatically tell the driver where you are going and map out a substantive route in the beginning of the lecture, one of our colleagues was in an Uber, and I think she was being passed through a route she didn't understand. I heard her say, "We are in Dansoman, why are we passing session?" Or something like that. It was very funny. But aside these shortcomings of the service every now and then, it's very easy to sit in an Uber and not have to actually tell the driver where you are going and start giving them directions of pass here, don't pass here, turn here, which we usually have to do with a regular taxi driver. You agree?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes a taxi driver can even tell you that where you are directing is too far. They don't know there, don't go again. Has it happened to you before?
Yes.
Yeah. They're giving directions to a driver and it's like, madam, baby, I won't go here. And I'll just drive off. Right? But
My car will be there.
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, madam, I was saying some of them will even say, "Me can't be into me."
Exactly, because they know it's a rough road. Very good one, Isaac. Right? But the Uber driver doesn't have a choice. Once you have hailed the app and he has come and the destination has been recorded, he has to take you where you're going. Right? So these are a few of the value propositions that Uber offers to riders. Now, to the other set of customers who are the drivers, on the other hand, there are a number of benefits. Again, for the drivers, they have income generation as one of the promises, that they would gain an income and they will have low idle times. Right? So they'll always be going back and forth. Now, this promise was true when Uber started first in Ghana. But now, this promise is not exactly living up to expectation. Because based on research, the ride-hailing apps in Ghana have now become so many that the competition has become stiff. And because of that, Uber drivers have had the income they used to earn on a daily basis sometimes cut in half from what they were earning previously, before the influx of all these new ride-hailing apps. Right? However, initially, this was one of the key selling points of Uber, being the income generation and the low idle times. Again, another value proposition they had were the flexible and predictable working hours, as well as the self-determined shift duration. So you decide when you want to take the car out to work. So if you are not working, you are not making money. You work, you make money. Very straightforward. And you can also track your earnings in real time. And again, it is also very easy to join the service. You just have to go through a few basic formalities like doing the background check, providing ID, they will inspect your vehicle, and then you can go ahead and join as a driver. So these are some of the value propositions that are given to the customers. In this case, they have two sets, being the drivers and the riders. So you realize that these propositions led to a particular product offering. And as you will agree with me, the product offering that is given by Uber based on their value proposition is also given by the other ride-hailing services, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same for Bolt. It's the same for Yango. However, you realize that it is at the brand level, right, that we see the differences, isn't it? Good.
Yes.
Good, right? So that helps us to be able to put into practice what we just discussed in relation to value propositions, offerings, and brands, right? Good. So now let's delve deeper into the concept of value and satisfaction. Now, without offering the customer value from what we saw in the simple marketing system, they will not be willing to give us money in exchange for whatever product or service that we are offering. And that is why value and satisfaction are very important concepts in marketing. Now, when we talk about value, we are referring to a combination of quality, service, and price. Now, quality here refers to the quality of the product that is being offered. Now you realize that whether it is a physical good or it's a service, there is some kind of quality that the customer usually expects to receive. Now, if it is a physical good that is being sold, there are certain services that facilitate the sale of that physical good. These services are also judged based on their quality in relation to what the customer is expecting. And the customer will usually judge the quality of the product and service in conjunction with the price that they are being asked to pay for it, in order to determine whether or not that product or service that they are trying to consume is of good value. And all consumers do this both consciously and unconsciously, such that in every consumption experience that they go into, they are looking at the quality of the product that they are buying, together with the service that is being provided in addition to this product, and the price that they are being asked to pay for it. So you will realize that someone would usually purchase a particular product from a neighborhood store. However, if along the line, the quality of the product, maybe not from the manufacturer, but perhaps the way the particular seller in their neighborhood stores the product is compromised, and that particular seller is also charging a higher price, they will prefer to drive further to get the product at a cheaper price, at a better quality, because that is what they perceive to be of value. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Good. However, we need to bear in mind that all of these things are customer specific, because what one customer may perceive to be of value may not be of value to another customer. So these three individual items that come together to determine what the customer perceives to be of value is what we refer to as the customer value triad. And you will realize that in any circumstance, even though service providers or product sellers would want to achieve a good balance between value-based prices and product quality and service quality, they are not able to achieve it perfectly. However, in any combination that they use, they have to ensure that there is harmony, such that the customer's expectations would at least be met, so that they can be guaranteed the ability to make that sale. Because if the customer's expectations are not going to be met, then the customer is not going to be satisfied. So when we talk about satisfaction, is basically the customer's judgment of whether the product or service that they consumed and its performance compared to their expectations is acceptable. And this is because customers always go into a consumption situation with some prior expectations. So for instance, if you are going to buy a bottle of water, you have some expectations of how the water should come, how it should be packaged, the color of the water, the taste and smell of it. All of these things are prior expectations that you go into the experience with. So in going through the consumption experience, you are looking at the quality of the product that you have bought, the price you are paying for it, the service quality you are getting, and you are comparing all these things to the expectations you had before you went into that consumption experience. And based on what the comparison is, if your expectations before you went into the consumption experience are met, we say that you, the customer, have been satisfied. But if your expectations prior are exceeded by the experience that you go through after consuming that product or service, we say that you as the customer have been delighted. Please, do we understand?
Yes, please.
Good. So if your expectations are met, you are satisfied. If they are exceeded, you are delighted. However, what would we say if the expectations are not met and the performance is below what the customer expected? What would we say in that instance? This one is a trivia question.
Disappointed.
I'm frustrated.
Good. Now use that understanding and then the lingo that we have on the slide. So if your expectations are met, you are satisfied. If they are exceeded, you are delighted. So if the expectations are not met, what would we say?
Unsatisfied.
You can say unsatisfied, but there's a right marketing term for it. Okay, Beatrice says customer dissatisfaction. Eva says dissatisfied. Good. Right? So we don't say unsatisfied in marketing, we say dissatisfied. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Great. Awesome. Right? So that is how value and satisfaction are related. If the customer does not perceive value in whatever it is that they are getting, there is no way that they are going to be satisfied with the consumption experience. So as marketers, we aim always to either satisfy or delight and try as much as possible to avoid performing below expectations, which could lead to dissatisfaction that would have multiple consequences for the firm. So specifically, when we say customers perceive value, like we just established, the customer will usually compare the benefits they got from the service experience with the costs that they incur to be able to go through that experience. And this is because customers will always want to maximize value from whatever experience that they go through. So to be able to ensure that they are maximizing value, they want to make sure that whatever they are sacrificing to be able to obtain this product or service offering or experience is less than the benefits that they are getting out of it. And like we have established, if this evaluation of theirs leads to the experience meeting their expectations, we can clearly see that they have been satisfied. However, if it does not meet their expectations, we can then go ahead and say that they have been dissatisfied. So in terms of customer perceived value, some of the total costs that they can incur, being the bundle of costs that the customer comes across on their journey towards experiencing a particular product or service, can range anywhere from psychological costs. Because you know, product consumption is not just physical, it's also psychological, isn't it? You agree? Do you agree that consuming any particular product or service is a psychological activity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you clarify? Can you tell me why you are agreeing? Why would you say that indeed it is a psychological activity? Yes, Edwin,
because
go ahead.
it involves your mental ability to create an affiliation or association with the product.
Exactly.
And then also it has the ability to influence behavior, how you tend to carry yourself about because of the particular product you are associated with or are consuming.
Exactly, Edwin. Thank you so much. Right? So there are psychological costs involved. Likewise, energy costs. And this one is pretty straightforward. The person has to expend a certain amount of energy to obtain and consume this particular product or service. Again, time costs are involved because the person has to be able to expend some portion of their time to even go about purchasing and consuming this particular product or service. Again, the ultimate monetary cost, because they cannot get the product or service for free. They have to part with some kind of monetary compensation for the seller in order to obtain the product or service. So these are all forms of costs that the customer can incur in the process of obtaining the particular product or service offering, right? So all these costs that they incur, ultimately, after they have been able to obtain the product or service, they will judge the benefits that they get after obtaining the product or service and consuming it with all these costs that they incur. So we say that the customer's benefits in total is the perceived monetary value of the bundle of not just economic and functional, but also psychological benefits that they obtain. So based on the model that we have in front of us, we can see that the customer benefits can be classified into 4 groups, just like the customer costs, including the image benefits, right, which Edwin just talked about. Consuming a particular product or service presents a particular image of you as a consumer, right? We can also talk about personnel benefits, service benefits, product benefits, depending on the nature of the product or service that you are consuming. So the customer will compare all these benefits with the costs. And the idea is to be able to see if the cost that they incurred in obtaining these benefits was worth their while or not, right? Which results in what we refer to as satisfaction, delight, or dissatisfaction. So Richard says, like getting annoyed and frustrated when MTN network is slow and ECG also do their thing. Your whole day might even go bad. Exactly. Right? So very good points, Richard. So these will determine to a large extent how the customer perceives the balance between the benefits they obtained and the cost that they incurred, which will ultimately determine their perceived value of whatever product or service offering that they consumed, right? So that is it for value and satisfaction. Moving on, we want to also talk about target markets, positioning, and segmentation. Now in marketing, we refer to these 3 as the STP process or the STP framework, which starts from segmentation, then on to targeting, and then on to positioning. Now, this begins from where we talked about a few moments ago, how every single individual consumer all over the world is a potential customer for a seller. However, all of these customers, even though they are potential target customers, the firm will be unable to serve because they do not have all the resources that are needed to adequately serve all these myriad customers. And as a result, the first step in the STP process is important, which is segmentation. And that is where the firm goes ahead to identify distinct segments of buyers who share similar characteristics, sometimes in terms of demography, in terms of psychographics, which refers to their values and lifestyles, as well as certain behavioral differences. So the target market will usually be divided into segments that share similar characteristics, because the more characteristics they share in common, the more likely it would be that they will prefer a particular product or service. True or false?
True.
Good. So the market is going to be segmented first to help the firm to be able to know which segments possess the characteristics that they are looking for in their target customer. Now, once they segment, the firm comes up with a number of different customer segments, some of which are desirable, some of which are not. Now, of the desirable segments, they now need to go ahead and zero in and target specific segments out of the desirable ones. And this is because they do not have all the resources in the world to serve the needs of all these segments, even though they are desirable. So they will choose those segments that present them with the most opportunities to earn good profits, where they have enough resources to provide the offering that this particular segment needs in order to earn their profit. Hence the process of targeting specific markets, because they have to make sure that the segments that they choose possess the characteristics of their potential customer, and they have adequate resources to be able to take advantage of the opportunities available in these markets. And once they are able to identify their target markets, they now have to position themselves by developing a market offering that will place them in the minds of their target buyers as being the prime choice when it comes to delivering that kind of benefit or solution. And firms that have done a good job at positioning themselves have sometimes ended up becoming synonymous with their particular product categories. And there are so many of such examples in Ghana here. So for instance, before we go into the firms whose products have become synonymous with certain product categories, let's look at a typical example of a firm that has done well at positioning themselves in the minds of customers across the globe, and that is Volvo. When I mention Volvo, their position in everybody's minds is clear, and that is what?
Transportation.
Come again. Because if you say transportation, so many firms provide transportation. BMW,
Vehicle.
Benz, Rolls-Royce. Are you sure? So many other companies provide vehicles.
So safety.
Safety. And they are still holding on to that position in the minds of consumers. That when it comes to vehicles and transportation, if you want safety, the car company to go for is Volvo. Right? So that's a typical example of how positioning works by giving the firm the ability to occupy a unique place in the minds of the consumer as delivering some particular key benefit. And firms, like I said, in the past have been able to do this so well that the names of their products have become synonymous with the product category. Any examples of such firms whose products have become synonymous with the product category as a result of excellent positioning? Any examples? Any examples? Good, Ivan. Pepsodent. Every toothpaste is Pepsodent. Good, Nanama. Every antiseptic is Dettol. Good, Christopher. Every newspaper is Daily Graphic. Yes, Rashid. Every milk is Ideal. Liquid milk. Yes, that is. Stephen and Tim. Yes, at some point, every powdered milk is Nido. Omo. Good. Every powdered detergent is Omo. Good. Chocolate beverages, Milo. Right? Good. So you get the idea. These are all a product of excellent positioning. So the STP process is very important for every organization. Priscilla says every vegetable oil is Frytol. Yes, for several years. Yeah, every money transfer is Momo. Even if it's Vodafone Cash, is Momo. Good, Katya. Every diaper is Pampers. Right? So you get the idea of the positioning process. And that is because firms did an excellent job of segmenting the market into consumer groups with similar needs and then targeting them with a specific offering and designing this offering such that it occupies a unique position in the minds of these market segments. So again, the STP process is another key concept in marketing that we have to be cognizant of. All right. Now, another thing we need to look into on the concept of marketing is marketing channels. And that is because marketing channels are the means by which the marketer reaches the target market with their offering. And that's primarily what the salespeople are responsible for. Now here we can be able to talk about two main types of channels. First, communication channels. Now the communication channels are usually handled by the marketing communication experts who go about curating and formulating and delivering messages to customers to be able to inform them about their offering and elicit a response from them in the form of a purchase or in the form of one of the elements of either creating awareness, an intention to purchase, a desire to purchase, or to get the customer to take the actual plunge of making the purchase in action form. So communication channels are very important because if customers do not know about your product or service and the benefits that it offers, there is no way that they will be able to go out there and ask to purchase it. Hence the importance of communication channels. Again, we can also talk about distribution channels, and this is where the salespeople are most relevant because they help to display, sell, or deliver the physical product or service to the buyer or user. So one company whose distribution channels I really love, in fact, there's two of them. One of them is Unilever, and the other one is Coca-Cola. Because they help the end consumer to be able to visualize the consumption experience by creating an experience all the way from where the product is purchased up until the consumer carries the product from the point of purchase to their home. So you go to a Coca-Cola distributor or retailer and you see that the whole shop in the first instance is painted red, isn't it?
Yes.
Then the signboard is red with the Coca-Cola logo somewhere before the name of the seller comes. The refrigerator is red with the Coca-Cola logo. There's a table in front of the shop with an umbrella, Coca-Cola colors and logo everywhere. These are all distribution channels by which the firm tries to use the element of display to enhance the sale of products and services. Because we talked about the fact that the consumption experience is also psychological, right? So all these displays also help to communicate to the customer on a psychological level. Do you agree?
Yes.
Good. Such that even before the customer opens their mouth to request for the beverage, because they have been seeing the red display all this time, they will somehow psychologically develop a taste for Coca-Cola. And that is the art of marketing. Charles says Fun Ice. Yes, good. Another one. The Fun products. The refrigerator is Fun branded. They will give you the same display items similar to what Coca-Cola offers, right? So Charles, good example. Now, these are all ways, like I said, by which we are able to reach the customer with our brand or our offering of product or service and make sure that our brand of product or service ends up being the one that is ultimately chosen by the consumer for purchase. Because remember, there are different sellers offering similar products and services like we are. And we have to make sure that we stand out. And one way by which we can do that is through our communication and distribution channels as a firm. So that is it for marketing channels, right? Now, the next thing we can talk about is paid, owned, and earned media. Now, paid, owned, and earned media are an extension of communication channels, such that for a firm to be able to communicate or send messages to their target buyers or target audience, they utilize one of these three forms of media, either paid, owned, or earned. And when we talk about paid media, we are talking about media that is essentially allowing the marketer to show their adverts or their brand or to share information with their buyers for a fee. And we see a lot of these examples around us. Examples of paid media. Examples of paid media. Yes, Ivan, please go ahead.
Yeah, radio stations.
Exactly, radio stations. People use a lot of radio adverts to communicate, and they pay for these time slots. Billboards, good. You rent a billboard for a certain period of time to display your ad. Good, Eva. Television. Google and Facebook adverts, another good example of paid media, right? These are all means by which firms show their brands and communicate about their brands with consumers. So that's paid media. All this is done for a fee. Now, aside paid media, we have owned media, right? And this is where the marketer actually owns the medium through which the information is being communicated. Now, Ethel, you say social media. Social media toes the line between paid and owned media. Can anyone tell us why? I'm saying social media toes the line between paid and owned media, as well as earned media as well. It can fall between all the three. Can anyone tell us why? Okay, hold that thought. Let's explain all earned media and then we will try to situate social media. So owned media, like I said, is media that is owned by the marketer, right? So they own the communication channel and they determine when the messages are put out, at what frequency and in what form. So examples include the company's brand brochure, their website, which is owned by them, their blog, and then their Facebook page or Twitter account, all of which are owned by the organization. Then we can talk about earned media, where the firm is not paying for it. However, they are earning it as a result of the fact that consumers, the press, and other outsiders choose to voluntarily communicate something about the firm and their brands, either through word of mouth, through buzz, or through viral marketing. So with earned media, the firm does not pay for anything. It is out of the volition of the consumer, the press, or whichever entity is giving out this communication or making this utterance about the firm, right? So back to my question on social media, I think Isaac tried to answer. Social media, like Ethel mentioned, toes the line between paid, owned, and earned media. And my question is, can anyone tell us why? Priscilla, your hand is up.
Yes, please. So for social media, let me say if a company has an Instagram page where they are advertising or they are putting their brand communication materials there, at a point in time, that Instagram page becomes your own media.
Good.
Where you put your information there.
Good.
But if there is very salient information that you want to go beyond the people who are following your particular page,
Good.
then you need to sponsor it. So it becomes a sponsored ad.
Good.
So in that instance, you pay something to Instagram,
Good.
then Instagram will now promote that kind of salient information so that even people who are not following your page will now see that information. And then if that content is an attention grabber, then you are going to earn the media. In that instance, more people are going to reshare. Like if it's a tweet, they are going to retweet it.
Good.
And it means that you have earned the media or you have created the mileage that you are looking out for.
Exactly. Very well said, Priscilla. I see your colleagues are clapping for you. That alone is validation. So well done, Priscilla. I couldn't have said it any better myself, right? Good. So that is how social media toes the line between all the three. So you realize that, as we will discuss very soon, with the new realities in marketing, technology is changing so much of what we used to do traditionally as marketers, such that it is enhancing what we are doing and making several aspects of marketing practice easier and more seamless because of the nature of technology and what it enables us to do. So thank you, Priscilla, for that very elaborate explanation, right? And that ends the discussion on paid, owned, and earned media. And by extension, the discussion on marketing concepts, being the core marketing concept that we wanted to understand to help us to appreciate all the topics we will be discussing along the line throughout the course. So now let's look at what we refer to as company orientation toward the marketplace. Now, with every company that we will come across, they have some kind of orientation toward the marketplace. Now, prior to the current dispensation we are in, where we realize that most companies are moving with the times and are therefore exhibiting characteristics of the dominant orientation for most companies, which is the holistic marketing concept, there were other concepts or philosophies that companies applied to their marketing activities in previous decades. However, these philosophies or orientations evolved over the years as a result of developments in marketing and the evolution of not just organizations, but also the customers that they serve. So initially, when we are talking about marketing philosophy, the first known concept that comes to mind in terms of organizational philosophy when it comes to marketing was the production concept. And under this concept, firms basically assumed that consumers always prefer products that are widely available and inexpensive. So they were doing their best to just produce products and make them widely available to customers at the cheapest price. However, like I said, as time went on, customers evolved. And it was no longer about just getting the most widely available products at the most inexpensive price. So they moved on to what we refer to as the product concept, which had at its core the philosophy that consumers will always favor products that offer the most quality, performance, and innovative features. So firms moved on to try and produce products that satisfied all these criteria by being of the highest quality, having the best performance, and the most innovative features. However, once again, consumers began to evolve because it was not just about the products that was being sold. It was also about the quality of the service that surrounded the product and the value that is offered overall. So they moved on to what we refer to as the selling concept, which had at its core the philosophy that consumers will buy products only if the company aggressively promotes and sells them. And this was the era of the salesman, where we had people who were going door to door on a daily basis, trying to sell consumers one product or another. And this was very popular in countries like the United States, where being a salesman or saleswoman was an actual profession. However, over time, consumers grew tired of this aggressive form of selling products and services. So they moved on to demanding products and services that were targeted at specific needs and wants that they have and provided them value for their money. So in the mid-1950s, we moved on from the selling concept to the marketing concept, where the focus was primarily on the needs and wants of the target customer and giving them value for their money and doing so better than our competitors so that we can be able to ensure that we can obtain and keep our customers and grow them into the foreseeable future. Now, the marketing concept reigned for a significant amount of time. However, again, consumers evolved. And this evolution was particularly spearheaded by the introduction of technology and globalization, which led consumers to realize that they could get more than just their needs being satisfied and value for their money. And as a result, firms now had to start thinking about addressing the needs of not just their target consumers, because consumers were requiring more than just a product that satisfies a need in a valuable manner. They were also thinking about the process by which that product was created and how that product ended up becoming the offering that they are consuming. And because of that, firms had to evolve beyond just focusing on the needs of the customer and delivering them value to taking a holistic view at the marketing process. And like I said, that was as a result of new marketing realities, which we are going to go into starting from the introduction of technology, like I mentioned. And this is because the rapid growth of information technology has metamorphosed the consumer that we knew before, who was predominantly naive and usually took what was offered to them, into the more informed, powerful consumer that we have today. Given that they know exactly what they want, they know how they want it, and they know how to be able to get it. And there is no form of information that the current consumer that we have as marketers does not have access to. All of this is as a result of the power and rapid growth of information technology. So it's no longer about providing a product or service that you think the customer would want. It's about being able to understand what the customer wants, knowing that the customer has access to all manner of information to make an informed decision about what product or service is best suited to satisfy their need. Hence, technology is one of the main reasons that spearheaded our evolution away from the marketing concept into this new era of marketing, which we are going to talk about. Again, like I mentioned, issues of globalization have further spearheaded the movement or evolution from the marketing concept into this new concept that we are going to talk about. Given that globalization has made the world a more smaller place, cultures are now converging. And with the introduction of technology, like we said, along with new forms of transportation and shipping, the world is now smaller in terms of the fact that consumers can easily engage with each other regardless of geographic location. Likewise, firms can gain access to consumers in different markets and contexts, all because of globalization. Again, another new marketing reality we can talk about is the fact that corporate social responsibility has been a key factor in determining whether or not a firm is doing its best to satisfy customer needs. And more recently, the concept of corporate social responsibility has evolved into what we refer to as what? Right now, it's no longer about CSR, it's about what? Right now, it's no longer about CSR, but rather about what? What's the new term that the companies are using? If you work at Unilever, you should know this. If you work at EcoBank, you should know this.
Is it targeted social interventions?
Yeah, the targeted social interventions form part of a concept, which is what? You should know this. Where are the industry professionals who are involved in marketing and in PR? Have you heard of sustainability?
Sustainability reporting.
Good, sustainability reporting. We are moving on from CSR into the realm of sustainability. And that is because customers are no longer just satisfied with firms who are able to satisfy their needs and give them value for their money. They are also interested in the footprint that the organization leaves, the footprint that the brand offering that particular product or service offering leaves, in terms of the effects of their activities on the society as a whole. Not just for now, but for posterity. So it's no longer about CSR, but it's more about sustainability. Now, someone would ask, what is the difference between CSR and sustainability? Now, when it comes to CSR, CSR mainly looks backwards, right? In terms of typically trying to report what a particular brand or organization has done over a period, usually over a fiscal year of about 12 months, to contribute to society. So CSR mainly looks backwards, and it looks at what the organization contributed to society. However, with sustainability, it's more about looking forward and making plans to ensure that the business's activities and its effects, not just on society, but also on the environment and on themselves as an organization, is secure. So with sustainability, the firm is not just thinking about what they are contributing to society, being the people, in terms of education, right? MTN Foundation, in terms of social resources, health, well-being, quality of life, Vodafone Foundation. It is also thinking about the planet, being the environmental variables that have to do with the impact of the brand and its activities on, say, for instance, natural resources, being the quality of water, the quality of air, energy conservation, and land use. So you realize that firms are now conscious about where they source their raw materials from, isn't it?
Yes.
Good. They are also conscious about energy conservation and pollution. These are all aspects of sustainability. But the firm cannot also consider how their actions affect society and the planet, and ignore how their actions as a firm affect their own performance. Because the firm has investors, the firm has shareholders, the firm has employees, all of whose welfare has to be catered for, isn't it? So when we talk about sustainability, it's about considering all these multiple perspectives of not just the society that the firm is operating in, but also the environment and the planet and the impact of the firm's activities on that, as well as the impact of the firm's activities on its own bottom line, including its employees, shareholders, and investors. They owe it to them to operate in a profitable manner. And that is why the new marketing reality involves not just focusing on TSR, but looking at issues of sustainability. So you realize Unilever has a whole sustainability initiative, isn't it? Who is aware of Unilever's sustainability initiative? Is anybody aware of it? Anyone? What about Standard Chartered Bank's sustainability initiative? Is anyone aware of that as well? Wow. Then you have a lot of reading to do. Because Unilever's sustainability initiative has been in force for the past 10 years. Right? So you need to inform yourselves. Is that okay?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, it's important that you know these things because these are companies who produce products and service offerings that you consume. So it helps for you to be informed about what they are doing with the money they are collecting from you, and how the money that you are giving to them is contributing towards creating a better world for everyone else, right? So that is why these concepts are part of our new marketing reality. So that being said, these new realities we are talking about in terms of the three major market forces of technology, globalization, and social responsibility, right, along with sustainability, are leading to two key market outcomes, being that they are creating new consumer capabilities and new company capabilities. Now, these new consumer capabilities include the fact that consumers can now use the internet as a powerful information and purchasing aid. Are you aware?
Yes, please.
Yes, madam.
These days, every time you are going to buy something, as soon as there's a bit of doubt in your mind, the first thing you think to do is to what? To Google it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a clear exhibition of this powerful information and purchasing aid that we are talking about that the internet has become for consumers. So there's nothing hidden under the sun to any consumer. They can be able to, with a simple Google search, pull up the product you are selling, pull up the ingredient list, pull up other customers' reviews about the product, and be able to know everything about your product or service in a split second, right? And that is as a result of these three new realities we are talking about in terms of technology, globalization, and social responsibility. Again, consumers can search, communicate, and purchase on the move. Currently, barely anyone buys scratch cards anymore. We all top up online, on the move. All this information searching we are doing on Google and Firefox and Bing and all these other platforms is usually being done on the move. We also communicate largely on the move. All of these are new consumer capabilities. Again, consumers can tap into social media to share opinions and express loyalty. And you see this happening all the time. What is one of the most popular platforms where people like to share opinions? What's the most popular social media platform where people usually share their opinions?
Twitter.
Twitter. Yeah.
Twitter.
Right? And it has become a powerful tool in the hands of consumers because they get to share their opinions without filter And other consumers also get to share their opinions on the opinions that they share. And the conversation keeps going on and on and on. And a lot of consumers use these platforms to express their loyalty for certain brands. And like we mentioned, anything can be marketed. So these opinions are usually being shared in respect of specific goods, services, experiences, events, persons, ideas, you name it. All the items we talked about that can be marketed, consumers can share their opinions on and express loyalty for. Again, with these new computer capabilities, new consumer capabilities, we can also say that they can actively interact with companies. There's ample evidence on the internet of individual consumers taking on whole companies and organizations and calling them out for various things. At the same time, to commending them when they do things right, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Currently, what is one of the most bashed organizations on Twitter, apart from government?
The military.
Military.
Yeah. Right? And there have been instances in the past where other security agencies have actually interacted and engaged with consumers online. Like recently, I heard the IGP engaged with an individual who expressed her dissatisfaction at how a family member was killed. And the police responded directly to this individual, telling the individual that the person was killed because they had a gun, was it an AK-47 and ammunition on them? Did you hear about that discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? And this is all as a result of the power of technology. Right? That is why it's part of the new consumer capabilities. And finally, as part of new consumer capabilities, we can also talk about the fact that consumers can reject marketing that they find inappropriate. In this era, if you post a banner ad on Instagram and the consumer doesn't want to see it, they just have to click stop seeing this and give their reason that perhaps it is irrelevant, or they see it too often, or perhaps it is spam, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Right? So the consumer now is more powerful in the fact that they have access to huge amounts of information. They are able to express their opinions without judgment, and they have a choice to either accept or reject whatever you are offering as a marketer. Right? Likewise, these new capabilities, these new realities, have also given new capabilities to companies. For instance, companies can also use the internet as a source of information and also as a sales channel. And like Priscilla rightly said, companies use their social media pages and their websites to promote all of their products and services, and also to elicit information from consumers, sometimes from their own platforms and also from other independent platforms where consumers usually go to share their opinions. Again, companies can also collect fuller and richer information about not just the markets that they serve, but about their customers and their prospects, as well as their competitors. Because all information available over the internet is free for everyone to access. So if there is a Twitter discussion going on about your competitor, and they are bashing your competitor about a particular aspect of their service delivery process, isn't it free information for you? Doesn't it count as free information for you?
It is.
It is.
Because then you can learn from what they are suffering from and not repeat those mistakes. Right? Again, you can be able to, through the discussions and the opinions that are being shared, get a sense of what your current customers who are part of the discussion, as well as your prospects, being people who could be your potential clients, are saying in this conversation, which can give you a clue as to what they expect from their service experiences or product experiences, which again can go back to influence your service delivery or product delivery processes, right? Again, for new company capabilities, you can reach customers quickly and efficiently using all these online platforms, including social media and mobile marketing. You can also send targeted ads and coupons and information to specific groups of customers all using these new technologies that we have talked about, benefiting from the process of globalization that has resulted out of this influx and rapid growth of information communication technology. We can also talk about improving purchasing, recruiting, training, as well as internal and external communications, right? Currently, firms and organizations benefit a lot from the use of these information communication technologies in their communication exchanges, such that people who share a wall in an office will not walk into each other's office to have a conversation. They will do it over email. True or false?
True.
So they are in the same premises, the same radius, but they are exchanging a long email thread, which they could have easily done by walking into each other's offices, right? But this is a more efficient way of communicating because they don't have to leave their seat. They don't have to break whatever it is that they are doing to move from place to place. So this is an improvement upon internal communication. And the same goes for external communications as well. Their foreign partners and stakeholders are within reach because of technology. Ivan says they can even use WhatsApp. Yeah, I heard there are closed WhatsApp groups in companies. Every caucus has their WhatsApp group where they discuss their things. I've heard there's one for senior staff and junior staff. Please, is it true? There's one where it's only the junior staff where they discuss their bosses and stuff. Please, is it true? Arbitry said it's true. Right? So these are all improved forms of communication because otherwise these subordinates would not have anywhere to vent. But with this improved communication channel, they can vent all they want on this WhatsApp platform and just pray that one day nobody leaks screenshots to their bosses. So please, those of you who are on that platform, pray that this day never comes where one of you decides to jump ship and sell all of you out. Or it has already happened before.
It has been happening.
Right? So it has pros and cons, right? But here we are talking about the positive aspects, right? And again, companies can also now recruit and train more effectively using these technologies. So they are not just limited to the expertise of employees within their geographic confines. They can also look beyond their geographic region through the power of the internet to find more qualified people who, if after being employed cannot work physically, can even be able to, through the same information communication technology, work remotely to be able to support the company's activities. And then finally, it can improve cost efficiency. I mean, everybody will attest to the fact that ICT has brought a lot of cost-effective ways of doing things that were traditionally being done on a face-to-face level, right? So these are the new company realities that have been created along with the new consumer reality. These are the new company capabilities that have been created along with the new consumer capabilities that we discussed earlier as a result of the three forces we talked about, which are the new marketing reality, being technology, globalization, and social responsibility. So in that case, these key market outcomes we have talked about have led firms to rethink their philosophy of marketing. From the previous ones we talked about in the form of the production concept, to the product concept, the selling concept, to the marketing concept, all the way from the mid-1950s, to right now where we are implementing the philosophy we refer to as the holistic marketing concept, where the firm is thinking holistically, not just in terms of their integrated marketing that is targeted at the external buyers and communicating information about the firm's product and service offerings to get them to make a purchase, but also thinking about internal marketing, which has to do with the employees within the organization whose activities contribute directly towards creating the product and service offerings that are ultimately sold to the consumers, as well as performance marketing, which has to do with the overall performance of the organization. And also relationship marketing, which has to do with how the firm goes about building lasting relationships with all their partners, including the customers, the employees, other stakeholders like shareholders and investors, as well as the financial community from which they will from time to time tap individual resources. So talking about the holistic marketing concept, in terms of internal marketing, it's about the firm being able to properly manage the task of hiring, training, and motivating able employees who want to serve customers well. So their focus is on recruiting the right kind of people who are ready to work towards achieving the company's mission and vision. That is communicated to the customer in the form of a value proposition. So if your employees are not motivated and well trained enough to deliver the value proposition that you have promised your customers, then your firm is heading to a crash. Do you agree to that assertion?
Yeah.
Yeah. So internal marketing is important, such that the firm has to be able to ensure that they have hired, trained, and motivated their employees to deliver their value proposition to the customers as was promised. Now, in addition, integrated marketing is also important because the firm has to be able to devise marketing activities and programs to communicate this value proposition to the customer. And in communicating this value proposition, they have to make sure that they craft it in a manner that will be well received by the customer and will communicate value. So you realize that when it comes to integrated marketing communication, there are several tools that are at the disposal of the firm that they can combine in a synergistic manner to be able to ensure that they effectively create, communicate, and deliver value to customers. To ensure that the customers are aware of the firm's product and service offering and have positioned it in their minds as being the key product or service offering to satisfy that unique need that they have in that particular product category. So with integrated marketing communication, the firm usually starts building their marketing programs using the basic marketing mix tools that we have in the form of product, price, promotion, and place. Now, when it comes to communicating the firm's value proposition to the customer, they focus usually on using the promotional elements of the marketing mix, including sales promotion, advertising, using the sales force, public relations, as well as direct marketing. Now, we will delve into each of these 4 key components of the marketing mix in a subsequent lecture session where we will break each of them down to understand the role that they play in marketing management for any firm. So that being said, still on the matter of the holistic marketing concept, understanding that we need for the firm to focus not just on internal marketing, but also on their integrated marketing. They also need to look at performance marketing, which is about the financial and non-financial returns to the business themselves and society as a result of their marketing activities and programs. Because we talk about the fact that the firms exist to be able to provide a particular product or service offering to customers, but they have to do so in a manner that guarantees that they will get some kind of return in the form of profit. However, profit is not just the only return that firms gain from satisfying customer needs. They also obtain other non-financial returns, like goodwill, like a positive brand image. All of these are non-financial returns that help the firm to be able to guarantee good performance into the future, such that with a good brand image, the firm can be able to ensure demand for their products and services into the foreseeable future. True or false?
True.
Yeah. So performance marketing is also important, aside internal marketing and integrated marketing. We also need to be able to appreciate the issue of relationship marketing. Given that, remember when we were discussing the concept of marketing management, we talked about the fact that being able to identify and attract the customers is not enough. You should also be able to keep them. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Good. Now, the only way you can be able to keep your customers is by building some kind of relationship or deep, enduring bond with them, such that they become tied to your brand and your product offering. Priscilla here is talking about brand equity. Good, which is a non-financial return that can contribute when it comes to relationship marketing, because customers usually build relationships with brands that have strong and good brand equity. So by building relationships with customers, you can be able to ensure that they are not just buying from you for the short term, but they will stay with your brand and keep buying your brand into the foreseeable future. Now, when it comes to relationship marketing, the key take home here is that it is not limited to just building relationship with your customers, but also with other individuals and organizations who contribute in one way or another, both directly and indirectly, throughout the execution of your marketing activities, including obtaining raw materials, producing the finished product, delivering it to the final consumer. All of these involve various actors who could be individuals or organizations, and their actions, either directly or indirectly, influence the customer's final purchase and consumption experience. And therefore, building a good relationship with them will help the firm to be able to guarantee its success in terms of growth and profitability into the foreseeable future. Hence, the need for the holistic marketing concept, meaning that we are requiring firms to move beyond just identifying and satisfying customer needs by providing them with value for the cost incurred, but to look more holistically at issues regarding integrated marketing, as well as internal marketing that have to do with the employees involved in providing the product or service, ensuring that they are properly trained and motivated to do so, as well as performance marketing, both financial and non-financial, considering issues that have to do with sales revenue and profits and brand equity and brand image and goodwill and ethics. All of these issues relate to performance. And then ultimately also looking at the issue of relationship marketing, which will guarantee the firm's existence and ability to grow and make profit into the foreseeable future. That is why company philosophy has evolved beyond all the 4 types of philosophies we discussed to this current point. Because given the nature of the environment that we are experiencing, being the new realities of marketing, the firm has no choice than to adopt this holistic approach, given the influences of technology, globalization, and social responsibility, as we have discussed, right? And with that, we've come to the end of our lecture for today. We have been able to appreciate the foundations of marketing and marketing management and understand some key concepts that relate to marketing and marketing management and how the new realities of marketing are influencing the practice of marketing and marketing management. And that is where we will end our lecture for today.